if you would stop buying the $13 truffle fries, yeah, you might not be living check to check. I'm just throwing that out there real quick.
But the truffle fries are so good though.
Yeah, I'm guilty as shit. Like, you know me. I'm like, what kind of truffle oil you got on there? And then like white, and I'm like, can you put some black truffles on there? And like, that'll be $25. And the next thing you know, I'm eating some goddamn $40 fries. Like I'm a sucker
It's
for that too.
truffles with a side of fries.
No doubt. You know what the
Yeah.
silly part is? Is a lot of times it's a synthetic truffle oil. It's like
Mm.
it's like a fragrance.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of times they'll use real truffle, but sometimes the real truffle is not as potent as that fragrance. Like when the fries come out and they got this crazy aroma that like fills up your whole space, a lot of times it's a synthetic fragrance they
Mm.
use.
Right.
So you're eating some fake ass truffle fries for $13 sometimes, just FYI. Um, yeah, see what you got pulled up here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
So
yeah,
basically, the premise is that, uh, they did a survey of 28,000 Americans, and then they found that, basically 54% of America lives paycheck to paycheck, and then that proportion doesn't really change, even for millennials making over 100,000.
um, I got stories on that shit. It's I know people that are working class that got a bunch of cash on their mattress,
Oh,
and I know because they watch their money and they don't know, they worked consistently and they save their money. They're penny pinchers. And I also know doctors that live check to check.
mhm.
It's they and the one guy joked about it, but he blows all his money. He's like, I got income, it's never going away. I'm a doctor.
Yeah.
And I think he said even if I get hurt or something, he's got like some income protection shit. Um, he blows it all. New Porsche, travel, got the Rolly. The wealthy starter kid got to get the Rolly and the
Yeah.
Porsche. But he's like, I think it's a misconception that people think that just because someone's making 100 grand or 200 grand a year, that they're rich. Um, can you watch people? They go through it fast.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I think what you're probably going to tell me here in a minute is this article says 100 grand's not what it used to be.
Exactly. Exactly. They try to make the point that, think of a 35-year-old with a mortgage and a school loan and a child. The money doesn't go so far, but even then, just factoring in inflation, if you think about today, like 100,000 probably doesn't do as much damage as it does as it used to.
It's not like I look at when I want to make 100,000 and I'm looking like 19, 20 years old, what 100,000 meant to me back then versus now. You also got to think of the whole like Schadenfreude part of the world, the jealous
Mhm.
people, the haters. 100,000 is probably a lot of money to them if you're making 30, 40 grand. But in the reality of things, 100,000 isn't a lot of money. And I tell people, you just got to get that out of your head. It's we live in a world where anyone that has a dollar more than you is rich. It's I grew up in a 700 square foot house. The people next door to me had like a 1.5 story house. It probably was only like 850 square feet. But those people were rich compared, and in our mind, right? That's just it's a dumb way of thinking, but it's kind of how we're brought up. And God, if you go down an extra block in the 900 square foot houses, and they had brick, those people are balling out of control, right? And then now I look back and I'm like, my garage is the size of that house, and it's hard to depending on what level you're at. If you're working class, or you're middle class, like 100,000 is a lot of money. But Kane is really not. And I think a lot of times when they talk about the rich don't pay taxes, there's people out there making 30 grand that think that $100,000 person is one of those rich people that don't pay taxes.
Sure. Sure.
Kane on 100 grand, and I'm going to do this on my own channel I'm going to do some tax stuff, but I'm going to put up a calculator where someone makes 100 grand. I'm going to show you how much tax they make. Federal tax, your entitlements plus your federal and then your state tax and all your bullshit. And you're going to see how much money's left over. I'm going to say it's maybe like 5 grand a month off the top of my head. If you got kids and write-offs and shit, maybe 6 grand a month. Well, I know someone that hit me up on my Instagram who was talking about how bad rent is right now, and they need to rent a 3-bedroom home for their children, and it's like $2,000 a month, and this is in Michigan, Kane.
Mm-hmm.
It's things aren't ridiculous in Michigan. So let's just say you're making $100,000 a year and you got 3 kids, and that's $2,000 a month. So boom, you're down to 4. Let's just say 5,500 after taxes. You got 5,500. Knock off $2,000. You're already down to 3,500. Car lease, car insurance, maintenance, gas, all that shit. Probably knock off another $800.
Mm-hmm.
Electric bill, cell phone bill, probably some bills for health insurance and all that shit.
Sure.
Now you're down below $2,500 left over. This is before you fed yourself, fed your children, and did anything.
Yeah.
That money goes really fast, and that's just on, someone paying $2,000 a month. So, it seems like a lot until you realize it's not, unless you're just living at the absolute bottom, and you're trying to penny pinch. And you look at what I think my dad spends over $100 a week on groceries right now for himself with the inflation. Right. What do you think that is for a family of 4?
My goodness.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. You were at $2,500 and you're going to spend at least $1,000 on food now. So now you're down to 15. Again, this is before you bought clothes, any entertainment, anything that bad popped up. I had to get something fixed on the car, or I had this extra bill. The $100,000 just got evaporated. So $100,000 ain't rich, Kane. It's only rich if you make less than 100,000. But that
actually, you sorry, go ahead, Jim. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say that, like, that the point that you made about needing to get something fixed on the car or something, like, those are the things that you don't factor in typically into your budgets, right? Like when you make budgets and stuff, like, and as you were going through kind of the line items and just taking away money from that net income for your month, like, the people are just, even at 100,000, you're right on the edge of just like one big expense toppling everything over, and that to me, that just, it's so scary. Even if you think about somebody making $100,000, like, that's well above national household income, right? Like the average national household income, I think, is like 60 for like a family of 4. But so, like, it's perilous. They're always on the edge.
And I grew up in that life where there was times when there wasn't enough money for rent in that bank account, and then the transmission goes out in your car.
Yeah.
And then it's like shit. And this is where you get stuck. And now you don't have reliable transportation. You can only count on other people to come pick you up so much. When I wrote the book Headwind, I talk about when it comes to cars, like, if you can afford to, just go lease a Honda Civic.
Right.
If you don't have a lot of money, and everyone's like, oh, leases are such a waste. And I'm like, if you can't afford to make the repairs, just lease the goddamn car and have the stability of the warranty, because you can't afford to take $2,000 and go put a new transmission or engine in it.
Yeah.
And I've watched this happen so many times where it put people in really bad positions because their main source of transportation screwed up. And what that ended up doing, it might end up jeopardizing your job. So your back's already against the wall, and then you end up losing your job. Yeah. Go find the cheapest lease on something new and reliable, or buy it if you want to. It's just one of those things that we want to save money, so we go buy a used car, but we can't afford the financial hit to do the repairs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people don't think about that stuff. Or you get a big medical bill that you weren't expecting, which, people just don't even pay those anymore. It's like you just, you deal with that later, but there's some things you can't deal with. Your engine blows in your car, you got to get it fixed or you're screwed. But life's always throwing something at you. If you own a home, your furnace goes out, and you find out you got to replace your furnace, and that's $2,500. There's these little surprises that come along. And again, you still got to save for retirement. And it's and God, your kids want to go on a vacation, or they want some new clothes, or they want to play this instrument at school, and that's $600. And $100,000 doesn't go very far. But now, Kane, I'm sure you know some people that are definitely have you only live once mentality.
Definitely.
That, they gotta, they spend, five, six, $7,000 a year traveling, and they got to go out to all the bars and the restaurants. And I like that life too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't do that, but there's no reason why they couldn't have saved money, or they need to live check to check.
Right.
They just don't have that same mentality of the person I'm talking about that has a cash under the mattress. They weren't being smart and they weren't being frugal. This is why I say you just got to go make more money, because I don't want to just sit in the house and be frugal. I want to save money, and I want to travel, and I want to go out to that new bar, and I want the goddamn $13 truffle fries.
Well, that's interesting because, before you brought up the kind of make more money point, we hadn't even discussed lifestyle creep, which is what typically people associate with, okay, you make more money, but you're still living paycheck to paycheck. Like, it's got to be lifestyle creep. It's got to be. But we didn't even touch on that until that point. So, it just kind of further illuminates, like, 100,000 just isn't a lot of money.
It sounds, and Kane, this is, my background. I talk about it on the show. Like, it's crazy for me to say that because we grew up broke at times, and it's tough for me to say that. I can hear someone thinking, "Oh, you're just out of touch with reality." It's like, no, I just mapped it out, man. It's you can go work at FedEx right now and probably make like 40 grand a year with no education, just getting started. You get some overtime or anything, you're at 50,000.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people. By the time you're 30 years old, you could be making $100,000, and with the way shit's going right now.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're doing absolutely no value add, mundane general labor jobs. If you're making sandwiches at Subway, you're probably not making 100 grand. It's just that's what it is. But there's so many jobs out there that are paying 50, 60, 70, $80,000. Okay, but do you think it's that uncommon if, let's just say one person manages a McDonald's, and I'm throwing numbers out there. I don't even know what a McDonald's manager is. $40,000, and the other person, their spouse is a buyer at an automotive company, and they make 60. But between the two of them, they got $100,000 income.
Yeah,
that's not unrealistic right now.
Yeah.
So, but that lifestyle creep gets to you.
Yeah.
How many things?
Fries.
I mean, what, you want to go back down to the regular fries? Are you out of your goddamn mind right now? Regular fries? What are you gonna do? Give me some Himalayan sea salt on it? Man, no. It's like, I want Parmesan and the truffle on the fries. Like, what are you talking about right now? So it's not, but that's the thing, Kane. It's not just a creep. It's that once we get a taste of good shit, you don't want to go back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's once you have the good shit. I had someone tell me that I started getting into scotch, and I was buying, very expensive bottles for my age. I was like in my 20s, right? And it wasn't expensive, Kane. But for the people I'm around, it was expensive, $100 a bottle or something. And they're like, no, you got to slow down. Like, once you have that stuff, you're not going to want to drink the cheap stuff.
Yeah.
Do you know how often I've drank the cheap stuff since then?
Never.
Yeah, never. So it's like one of those things. We don't like to go backwards. Now, don't get me wrong. I still eat Taco Bell. I go to White Castle. That's where I grew up. I'm always going to eat that shit. There's things I like.
That's not going backwards, though. Let's be real.
I like some Whiteys. I'm not going to apologize for that, right?
Yeah.
Take me to a dive bar that's got those little deep fried mini tacos, and I'm not even sure that shit's ground beef in there. I don't know what it is, but it tastes good. That's the stuff I grew up on, and I still like it. So it's not going backwards, but as you get introduced to better things, if I probably used to think like a sirloin at Chili's was a good steak.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And now I can't even think about eating a sirloin. I want tomahawk ribeye from Prime and Proper, or Chicago Cut or Bavette's. Like once you go to Bavette's and you get a ribeye and like some pork belly mac and cheese, like
the bread,
that sourdough, dude. Like, right? Like, do you want to go to Chili's anymore?
Yeah, right.
And it's it sounds terrible, but it's like once you get a taste of traveling to certain places, once you get a taste of certain clothes, of certain food, of certain levels of service, you don't want to go backwards.
Yeah.
But that's why I say you just got to earn more money. Because if you want nicer shit or better experiences and you don't want to just sit home and always be on a budget, the only solution is to make more money. And it's not because you want 15 Rolexes. It's just life keeps getting more expensive. And part of that is the creep of you want nicer shit, but also when inflation happens, like you're seeing right now.
Yep.
And what you saw happen was just having money in the bank and penny pinching isn't enough, because the money you had in the bank isn't keeping up with inflation right now. So the thing is, you will eventually run out of savings in that type of an environment. So you have to have income. Now, you'll never run out of money if you got consistent good income, right?
Right.
You might be check to check, but you won't run out of money. You always, that's how we do this, right? That's why everyone racks up debt in the government. They know they can always get the debt paid. Isn't that what Japan does? That's what we do.
Yeah.
That's why I always focus more on income than anything else. Like, yeah, definitely save and invest, but to me, income's always been key. As much income as possible. Just try to be smart with it. But you ever have a cheap pair of shoes?
Yeah.
And then you got a nice pair of shoes?
Yeah.
Do you ever want to buy a cheap pair of shoes again?
No. I remember that rule that you gave me, the 3 things that you don't skimp on.
Yeah.
Shoes is one of them.
I don't remember what I said. Shoes, a mattress, and probably car.
Yeah, exactly.
The car doesn't even apply to everybody. I drive a lot, and I think for how much time I spend in the car, why do I want to be uncomfortable?
Yeah.
That's just stupid. Shoes, I don't understand. I know people that buy cheap shoes, or my back hurts, my feet hurt, because you're an idiot. It's because it's like this person spent, $50 on shoes. They probably should have spent 125. And they're talking about, and I get it. I'm all about just smart and being frugal. But same person would go out and spend $100 at the bar the same night. I was like, well, you could have afforded the better shoes, and you could have just had a couple less drinks, dude.
So
comes down, it's decisions, and the mattress, like the place that we. I know so many people when they ask me like what bed I have, and I tell them like, oh, it's really expensive. I'm like, but you sleep there every night from 5 to 8 or more hours.
Yeah.
This is going to dictate how you feel tomorrow, how much energy you have, maybe how your health is. And that energy is going to translate into, how much exercise you get done or how you perform at work. But, to spend an extra $1,000 on a mattress will blow people's mind. And you go to their Instagram and you can see them at Cancun twice a year.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you had money for Cancun, you ain't got money for the mattress? It's like, shit, they'll finance the mattress. You can make payments on that shit for like 24 years.
Yeah.
But it's back to the priorities, right? We always got money for the shit we want to do. We never got the money for the things we want to do.
Great point.
For the things we need to do. So
yeah,
I'm not surprised. I think our parents were a little they like seeing some shit, so they tend to they hung onto their money a little bit more.
Yeah.
Especially my great grandma, like she's talking about even during the Depression, like that screwed you up for a long time. Where, it was 1950s and people were still traumatized by the Depression, so they were still saving money and penny pinching. And the thing is, like most of the millennials right now, how old were they when 2008 happened?
Yeah, too small to know.
They didn't fully realize the Gen Xers took a pretty big hit, and they understood and that we saw that even business wise carry over into 2015, 16, 17, where people were still worried about spending money and making moves because of the trauma from what happened in 2008 and 9.
Right.
But if you're a millennial right now, you don't remember how bad things were at that time. It's you were like maybe 10 years old or some shit, right? You don't know what the hell's going on. Your parents are getting you a Little Caesars $5, and that's it. That was life at that point. You don't realize like the whole mortgage industry fell apart and unemployment's crazy high, and it didn't give you that same sense of fear that I need to save. It's now it's experience. Well,
yeah. Are you surprised then that you're living paycheck to paycheck?
Yeah. The thing is, like, missed opportunity though. let's just say you saved a little bit more of that money in the last 5 years, and even if you just threw it in the S&P 500, you would have doubled that money.
Mm-hmm.
And all that money that was going out to truffle fries and what's the other one people used to make fun of?
Avocado toast.
Avocado toast. There you go. Which that inspired me. I want to open a breakfast joint up. I would love to charge someone $15 for toast with avocado on it. The shark tanker in me says, let's do this shit right now. I'll serve you avocado toast with the truffle fries for $28. Like, let's. But no, I do that shit. I'm a foodie. You know me. Like I'll spend a ridiculous amount of money on food. But it's just one of those things where, you look at the amount of money you could have saved over the last 5 years, even if you just threw in the S&P 500, what that would look like right now.
Yeah.
And you don't have to live check to check. These are all decisions. We can be smarter. With that creep, you just got to do income creep. You got to go make 125.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah.
And then you got to figure out how to get to 150, and it's going to take more work and a lot of stuff, but knowing that inflation is going to keep going and your lifestyle is going to keep creeping up, you better hope your income does too, because shit's not getting any cheaper, man.
100%.
Going up 100%, no pun intended.
Say that again, sorry.
Nothing. I was trying to confuse you.
Oh.
That's all I got, dude. I'm going to catch you.
All right, sounds good.